Hey guys, Dave with Moneyology here. Hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. This is January 21st, 2018, and thanks for joining us on this blockchain and AI, which is artificial intelligence, sector review. As you'll notice, we'll go through many of the names in the space. Some are directly associated with Bitcoin mining, and others just have the blockchain technology, which we personally like a lot more. But ultimately, let's take a look at what's going on in the space and see if there are some opportunities we can take advantage of in the weeks ahead. Let's see what's going on. We'll start with Bitcoin services. For those new to our videos, we look at these charts from weekly perspectives, and that allows us to remove some of the short-term noise in the market, gives us less emotional approach to investing, and it works for us and potentially works for some of you. So with Bitcoin services, BTSC, that's an OTC ticker, it's had a tremendous move from a low of 0.0012 all the way to 64 cents. It's been consolidating here in this bullish pennant type, bullish flag type action here. And the question is, what does it do here around about anywhere from 15 to 20 cents? Now it's consolidating above the 50 RSI, which is very positive. And right at support where you would expect it to do, to find support here. The challenge that I have for myself is, as I look at this, is the MACDs have broken below zero. So as much as I think that this presents a very good risk-reward setup here, I'm not so comfortable buying, because with MACDs showing negative momentum, it's very possible that this ultimately breaks lower. And without having done any due diligence on this company, it's just something I would personally stay away from. But again, I like just this on chart alone and RSI. I like the upside, but if it breaks below this 15-cent zone, which coincides with this middle Bollinger Band, then it could fall fairly hard. So do due diligence on this one. Digital Power Corp, DPW. This is one that seems to be tied directly to the price of Bitcoin, and so it's had a massive run here, and it's pulled back some, and it looks like it's got some more downside, because having broken below the 61 level on RSI here, which was a very important point of support, the next likely stopping ground is at 50 RSI level, which likely coincides with this 165 to 175 area of support. If that breaks, then we're likely headed back to 1, and I'll probably be acquiring hand over fist. But first level support here is 165 that you want to look at, and we'll see what happens here. Does it break out, or does it break lower? Also, you look at the MACDs here. MACDs are still above zero. Sorry about that, my dog. Shh. Dog's losing its mind here, but perhaps I'm getting robbed. We'll see. Anyway, so with MACDs still above zero, there's still some I'd say strong probability that this level of 175 holds, but with RSI breaking, I think that there's still some downside in price action. And as you look at Bitcoin over the weekend, it's pretty weak and might fall below 10,000, and this might push price lower here. So in other words, what I'm saying is, unless this wedge breaks to the upside, I would not be buying here at this point yet. GAHC, this is another OTC name. This one I like. I don't like it yet, but it's had a massive move from 0.0007 all the way to 0.074, and it broke. It's been consolidating here, and it finally broke out above this triangle here, and it didn't quite make. You notice here, as it almost had a double top, but it had negative divergence. And when you see negative divergence, that means that this move is not as strong as this one, and the likelihood is that this move is going to fail and not break out higher. That's exactly what happened. Now, what likely happens next is you back test this breakout point here, and that's what's happening here. It's kind of back testing that 50 EMA around the 2-cent mark, and so I would like to see it just consolidate here for just a little bit longer. Looks like the MACDs want to curl below zero. If that's the case, it might consolidate here even lower, closer to 1 cent. But ultimately, if this can find support here, then it presents a very nice attractive entry point, and we'll just keep watching this, but we're not touching this at this point. Now, in Piction, for those of you who have followed our StockTwits posts, this is one that we own. We've been accumulating very heavily because it is meeting a number of different areas that number of different checkpoints. When we look at, when I personally look at investments to make, I look at several factors. One is, is RSI hitting multi-period highs? And the answer is yes. RSI here is higher today than price when price was at basically 75 cents, possibly as high as $1.40, and RSI is already at this point. So that's very positive divergence. Are MACDs hitting multi-year highs? The answer is a very firm yes. MACDs here are higher, basically at their highest point in 3 years. That's a very positive development. Is volume spiking on the up moves? Very much so. Is it above the middle Bollinger Band? Absolutely. So this just has a double bottom. Yes. Okay. Well, now I've done due diligence on a technical basis. I've done due diligence on a fundamental basis, and this company looks poised to turn around. Now, there are no guarantees in the investment world, but we like the probabilities here to the upside. If it can break above this 57 to 60 zone, preferably on positive PR, contract or two to be announced in the not too distant future. The management has said so, that they intend to announce things very, very soon. This can make a very strong run to 125. Now, what happens if it breaks above the 60? Then 125 is kind of this gap fill zone. It can run towards the 50 RSI. That's the next point of logical resistance. And if it can break that, then there's basically a lot of green light towards a move towards 250, and it can really run really fast, because this is in artificial intelligence space. It's in cybersecurity. Now they've announced going into blockchain, not as a cryptocurrency play, but rather as blockchain is a natural extension of their AI capabilities. So anyway, do your due diligence on this one. We really like it, and we've posted plenty of charts if you followed us on StockTwits and Twitter. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave some feedback for us. INTV, Integrated Ventures. This one seems to be very much tied to direct crypto price. Now this one's interesting. It broke out of this downtrend here, and it's had a very nice rally. Broke below this this up channel here, and now it finally had a very nice hammer pattern last week. And the question is, what happens? It found support at the 61 zone, which is important. Does it rally here and possibly create a head and shoulders on momentum and head lower, or does it actually break above 70 and make a run higher towards this $10 zone? I don't know. We'll find out. I'm not touching this one, but it's definitely interesting to see this one rally despite the actual crypto coins actually struggling of late. Mara Patent Corp. This is one that we owned all the way down from 50 cents, rode it all the way up to about $4 and sold here, and well, we missed this run from 4 to 10, and it's pulled back here, and now it's consolidating above the 50, above the middle Bollinger Band, and just below the 50. And so the question is, what does it do here? Well, RSI is above 50, so it might find some support. This was served as resistance over here. Actually, this is where we broke down. Basically the first major breakdown point was here, right when we broke below the 50, and so it served as resistance here when it broke out last time from 5 all the way to 14. That 50 was basically a line in the sand, and so again, it's a very important point. Question is, what happens here? Does it break lower and test the 250 zone, which is very possible, or does it rebound here and move higher? Time will tell. I'll drive one additional line here that's, I think, important for our analysis. This is the area that you want to see crossed. So 250 is support, and if it breaks above that, that suggests that we're moving higher. So we'll see what ultimately happens in the coming days on Mara. Now, MGT Capital is one of those pure play crypto plays, and it's done exceptionally well, and it's pulled back some from 814 all the way to a low of basically 290, but it had a nice, very nice close into the week, bounced off that middle Bollinger Band. What happens next? We'll find out this week. If it can break above that 4 level and hold that level, then it's possible that things are moving higher. It held above that 61 level on RSI, which is very, very important. So we'll see if that ultimately serves as support, or does it break lower and ultimately retest that $2 level. But this is a name that I'm very strongly looking at to add to our portfolio. Net Element International, NETE. This is one that had a massive run, 255 all the way to 3350. This is one that has similar technology to names that you'll see covered in the space, INPX, RSYS, and TEUM. So this is a very hot sector right now, creating this stair-step pattern higher, and it's finding support around that 50 weekly moving average above the middle Bollinger Band. And so, but RSI is weak. So if RSI can hold above the 50 level, then we'll ultimately head higher. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see $50 this year. So a lot of upside still. The downside, in our opinion, is, I would say, basically $5. The upside is $50. So take your chances, in my opinion. This is a good name to be adding here and picking up shares as they fall, if they fall. NXTD, NXTD, another one that announced entry into blockchain. It's got this bullish flag pattern. It's consolidating above the 50. We like that. And so if this can break back above this $3 level, that's our sign to go long this particular name. On Track Innovations, OTIV. Well, it's creating lower lows on RSI, so we're not going to touch this name, but I do want to point out this massive uptick in volume here on this major move from 93 to 294, and then the down weeks have had very low volume. So it should be interesting to see if ultimately whoever was accumulating here re-enters this particular name in the coming weeks. Couple more names, Parateam Corp, TEUM. This one has a beautiful chart. Downtrend was broken here with very strong conviction, very strong volume, combination of blockchain news, and as well as a very nice contract. Broke out, now it's consolidating here above the 61 RSI level. That's very positive. So long as it stays above this 170 area, that's very positive, and ultimately we think that this is going to make a run towards 5 and ultimately 750 and much higher down the road. Very good fundamental story. Do your due diligence on this one. RSYS is another name that the chart looks very, very positive. It's continuing to build this ascending triangle, and it broke above for a couple days, weeks here above the middle Bollinger Band. It's retraced a couple of last couple weeks on lower volume. Ultimately, we think this is heading to $150, $2, and possibly as high as $350. It's created this very nice breakout in RSI. It's pulling back some, and ultimately we think that this heads higher. We like the risk reward on RSYS. Remark Holdings, this has just been doing spectacularly. Not much to say aside from this is in an uptrend, and it looks like it wants to head higher. RIOT Blockchain is kind of the poster child for the blockchain or Bitcoin mining, and it's obviously had a tremendous run from low single digits all the way to 46. It ended the week on a very positive note. So can it break above 23 in the 200 EMA? If that's the case, then that would create a very strong rally. Otherwise, if it can't hold this area, ultimately likely heads lower towards that $12 zone. But with MACDs having broken below 0, that suggests that likely this hammer pattern is not going to stay create higher prices. Likely heads lower towards 12. 7 Stars Cloud Group, SSC, another one that on the one hand it's consolidating above the 200 EMA here. at $4. On the other hand, RSI is kind of looking weak, so not a name that I'm going to be long. If it pulls back to the 350 area, that's an area that I really would consider backing up the truck. Single point, one that we own, but frankly, its RSI has been very weak, and if it can't hold this 50 level, wouldn't be surprised that sees lower prices, but it's still building this kind of bullish flag pattern. So ultimately, we hope it resumes to the upside in the coming weeks. It's got a really nice fundamental story behind it, but MACDs don't look so strong right now. But the money flow is moving in a positive direction. So kind of opposite picture going on in that name. Social Reality, SRAX, this one's breaking down. Wouldn't touch it till that 360 area. Possibly goes as low as $2 if it can't find support here. U.S. Global Investors, GROW. This one broke below this upward channel here, and RSI has been leading the charge. If it can't hold this 50 level, expect it to head lower and find support right here at this 38 level. But that ultimately coincides with much lower prices, possibly as low as $230, the 200 EMA around $250, and $2 would be strong support if it continues heading lower. A couple more names. Veritone. This one's very strong. It's in the same space as INPX and TEUM and NETE. So this one, it broke out of this downtrend. It's consolidating. If this breaks above 25, there's going to be a very strong move, possibly higher towards 75. So a lot of upside ahead. And one other name that we want to point out, or a couple more names, but is RIT Media Group. Don't know what they do, but I really like the way this chart is setting up. It's broken out of this downtrend on very strong volume. It's consolidating as it's back testing this breakout, and I kind of like the risk reward as the MACDs are above 0. As if this can retake 50 on the weekly RSI, expect this one to see much higher prices ahead. Possibly a move towards 150 can be in the cards. And XSPA, XSPA, this is formerly Forum Holdings. This is one that broke out of its downtrend, and now it's consolidating as it's back testing this breakout, and it's likely to find support here around this 38 to 40 level on the RSI. If it does so and can recapture this 150 area, then likely this heads higher. But this looks to me like it's in the early stages of breaking out of this multi-year basing pattern. So we like this one. XNET, Junlei Limited. Well, I don't really understand. This chart's kind of all over the place, but it's created negative divergence here, where RSI is much lower at 25 than when RSI hit 27. So likely pulls back towards this 12 zone, possibly lower if this 12 area breaks down. Ultimately, guys, a lot of interesting stuff going on in the blockchain and crypto space. We try to stay away from the crypto space because it's just too volatile. But blockchain and AI and cybersecurity, very interesting to us, and that's where we want to be. Thanks for watching, and please, if you haven't done so already, please check out our page on Patreon. There will be a link, Google short link in the show notes. We're asking for you to pledge $10 or $25 to help us reach our $1,000, $5,000, and $10,000 goals. It's going to help us create a lot of awesome content for you, and it's going to create content that's hopefully going to be very educational and most importantly free for you. And we're working on several partnerships. We want to build out our platform. We want to build a better website, create better videos with higher quality editing, and ultimately for you. So if you like these videos and you appreciate the amount of time that it takes to put these together, then please send $10 or $25 on a monthly basis. It would go a long way towards helping us help you. Have a great week, and thanks again.